Hi, everyone. Thanks heaps for tuning into our podcast for today. I'm pretty excited to jump in and host this one for you guys again. I'm Mitch, and I'm a teacher here at UnifyHub. Today, we're continuing our series where we're interviewing people working in the human resources field. This is a great opportunity for our listeners to find out what it's like to work in such a diverse field and to get to know our guests and what makes them tick, both professionally and privately. And of course, it gives you guys a great chance to brush up on your listening skills and vocabulary skills in the process. Okay, so it's time to meet our first guest. Strap yourselves in and get ready for some new knowledge, as our guest is able to boast quite an extensive experience. From what I know, she's a bit of an adrenaline junkie, really into some extreme sports. So we'll touch on that soon. So Polina, if you would like to jump in and give us a quick introduction, tell us a little bit about your job, and actually I'd like to know a little bit about these extreme sports that you're into as well.
Hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a big opportunity for me, and I'm very happy to be here with you. So briefly about me, I'm currently working for the company in Cyprus. We are in fintech, let's say IT field. I am an HR manager, and my field of responsibility is everything which you can guess, let's say, or can think about HR in general. I used to work for the big corporations for different, let's say, fields which are, let's say, the specific one. So it's not the whole HR being covered by me, back to my previous background. But now it's everything at the same time, which is very interesting. And coming back to adrenaline, junkie, as you mentioned. So yes, I'm a big board lover. So I'm doing snowboarding, and my passion is free riding, yes, free ride, and also wake surfing, skateboarding, and also I'm a free diver. So it's a little bit different comparing with all other boards activities, but still I do like it, and it's also extreme, I would say. Yes.
Definitely, and actually from this description, you make my life sound really boring.
Okay, you can come. I also I can help you with entertainment. So
yeah, definitely, I'd love some tips. Actually, for the listeners who probably do know, I'm an Australian, but I am into surfing and stuff like that. But I do live in Poland,
cool.
And I have dabbled a little in snowboarding, although I'm still at the sort of beginner kind of level, learned how to fall.
It's very important, actually.
Like this as well. So actually, I'm wondering, do you have any tips for beginners who want to get into board sports?
I would say the biggest thing which I've learned, back to my experience, which is quite long, as with snowboard, I'm more than, I think, 10, 15 years in general. I'm just stop counting at some moment. But definitely take an instructor, take a coach. For the first, let's say, invest your time and your money into the first, let's say, not equipment, but for coach, to find the cool one who will explain you how to fall, how not to fall, how actually not to try to kill yourself when you're snowboarding. Because I used to have this experience, and honestly, I would say that when I've met my coaches and guys who learned me, and helped me how to understand the board, and actually how to let's say manage the board, actually not being managed, not being under the board, let's say. So yes, invest into coaching, I would say, into your guys and buddies. And actually, so the second tip, I would say, to have a good buddy with you, to have someone who you are trusting to, and to be able to rely on, on he or she can rely on you, or vice versa, because all of the extreme sports, whatever they are, even they are individual, let's say, they are not supposed to be done alone, let's say. So you should have someone with you all the time, because you don't know what happens, because it's nature, actually. So all around, mountains, sea, whatever, oceans, it's nature, and you cannot predict what might happen. So you have to always be together with someone who you trust to.
Yeah, and I have to say that's excellent advice. First of all, definitely get an instructor if you're looking to get into that kind of stuff, and always have like someone with you, like a buddy or something like this, a bit of like a safety
Yes,
net, I
yes, that's
guess,
true.
just to make sure that you're
All of these sports,
Yeah.
they are, let's say, even like as I mentioned, they are very at some moment like egoistic, like if we could say selfish, and individual. But you cannot be, let's say, selfish with nature. So you cannot play the games with nature and. Don't even try. So
exactly, yeah, because you'll always come out second best.
yeah, I mean, like you
if
will lose.
try to
You
go
will
up
lose
against
definitely.
nature.
So just like just be, like take someone with you and enjoy the moment, and you will always have someone to share with your emotions or something you've been like seeing. So it's cool. So never be alone at this time.
No, that's awesome, and you've actually given me some inspiration to jump back in and give some more stuff a try. So thanks for that. And,
Welcome.
all right, and look, as far as I know, you're actually living in Cyprus these days. Look, I am a keen traveler. I love traveling. If I was to go to Cyprus, what should I definitely try or do to like truly experience this cultural vibe?
I would say you can start, let's say, from the thing which are very in common. To be honest, so basically you can go with traditional like tavernas, which we like it's restaurants, let's say. So traditional food, traditional restaurants, traditional music, and. I think the most important thing is also to be able to talk to people, so talk to locals, and because I think they are like the brilliant, how to say, like if we could say providers into the cultural vibes. So they are like really cool to explain what are their backgrounds and how they like how they feel living in Cyprus, because when you are a relocant, if we could say so the person who moved not with the okay, so I do have a friendship with Cyprus for a long time, so I've been there like first time was when I was like 7 years old, and I almost like every year I was starting, I would say from 18 I traveled there as on my like countryside. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Cyprus like for 10 days, like no people, nothing, like no like activity, so just like sleeping. So before COVID, it's been like as my like routine, I would say so, and I knew the culture. Let's say I knew people. I had some local friends by that time. But when I moved, I understood it's little bit like not different. It's completely different. It's not little bit. It's completely different from the moment when you are a tourist and when you are living there. So yes, I would say like food, music, and people. So they are like three key things which you definitely need to try and need to like experience, and it's cool. Cyprus is nice. I mean, like so it has its own vibe and its own like again like positive and negative stuff which you can find, but still again it's like everywhere. I would say so. It's not like something, how to say, specific or unique. If it's life, so it's cool.
And I think probably the really nice weather most of the year really helps as well, right, with the vibe.
I mean, like yes, I used to think like this. You have to find a balance, honestly, because now it's like plus 40 there, and you like literally need to stay under AC, like air conditioning, so the whole day. Otherwise, you're just like boiling. I mean, like you're like from the moment of from getting from the office or from your home to the car, which is already like 50 degrees inside. So like yes, of course we do have, let's say, I would say around like 330 days, because during the winter time we do have quite. It might be raining, it might be kind of even storms or something. So 30 days will give to rains or something. So the rest of the days they are like sunny and very cool. For the temperature this year, it's extremely unusual weather. So it's starting from July. It's been like 40 something, and in Nicosia, which is, let's say, in the middle of the island, which is the capital of the island of the country, let's say. So it's around like 45 or something. I don't know how people are living there, honestly. I mean, like, so it's like impossible. And so that's why I've told you. So you need to have a balance, because when you're like under the sun, like with a 40 something, it's very complicated to stay productive, let's say, and to stay even safe sometimes, because anyway, so heat can cause you, and staying under the AC all the time, it's also actually not that safe.
Exactly.
I would say, because I got my temperature, so I got my sickness, let's say, for several days, and I didn't like it, like so. So it's not something which I would recommend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a really important thing for people to remember is, it seems really nice, everyone loves, I want to go to this beachy, like hot place for my holidays. But when you actually live there, you've really got to consider the environment and the climates when you're there.
That's true.
Actually, how you described it, it's very similar to where I was born in Australia, basically, like where, we basically have two seasons. It's like summer and cooler summer. So it's like really much like this. And like everything you were saying was like really close to my heart just then, which is really nice.
I was in Australia actually, so like many years ago, I would say. Yes, we went for a New Year celebration, so it was perfect weather. But at some moment, I was like a little bit smarter, let's say, so because I think it's been also very hot there, but back like to that time, and I left my brother on a Bondi, I don't remember how to properly. Bondi Beach, yes. And then in the evening, when I found him like absolutely red on it, I was like, I'm gonna be in trouble. So
basically like a
monster, definitely.
Right? Like,
so he was like very red, and I was like, okay.
And that is a very common effect for tourists in Australia. It's even locals, to be honest, I have to say.
Yeah. So like I still do have this, like as a trauma, I would say, so from my childhood, because I was so scared for him, so that my parents will not allow me to get back home because of my lobster now brother. So yes.
At least he was very easy to spot in the crowd, yes.
You could find it easily because he was like, it hurts me everywhere. So he was like drama queen at that moment. So definitely no doubts to find him.
Yeah, so then that's advice for everyone listening. Be aware, be very aware of the sun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, like, so you can have fun, you can stay in the water the whole day, even in Cyprus or Australia, wherever you're gonna be. But stay safe, let's say. So, and if you understand that you are very, let's say, sun addicted somehow, try to cover yourself because anyway. So, okay, again, being in balance, like so.
like we said, nature will always win. So this is the main lesson for today, and yeah, that's awesome. And actually, we might jump over to the business side of things. Actually, so and I just want to get a bit more sort of in-depth knowledge of your career path, and actually what made you choose in the beginning, like what made you choose to following this path, in the HR field?
I would say so. Maybe from the beginning, I didn't have, like the specificness that I need to be in HR field, like in general. But what I knew from the from the beginning, that I do like communicating. I mean, like, I'm very communicative person, I would say. So like I communicate a lot, and I think this is one of the biggest and the important part of being in HR, to like people, because I know that there might be sometimes situations when like you can be, how to say, upset with people, if you could say so. So there are some situations, of course, but in general, because of this, I think that this can help also me to share my experience, let's say, and to help people with their, let's say, questions, or how to say, like to help them to develop themselves. So I started my career in HR from compensation and benefits department in one of the corporations in Moscow. Back to that time, I was living in Moscow, and I worked for them, and it was very interesting for me as part of the like how it works, because this is the super specific, let's say, and how to say, it's mix of the field. So it's more about the economics, which I used to study actually. So it's more about some benefits and some things which can helps people and helps employees actually to feel more how to say, comfortable, let's say, within a company. So to appreciate what companies did and to be able to present it. So it's, you know, like from one side it's very strict because you have to be very accurate with budgets, with because I used to, let's say, calculate different bonuses or different, let's say, expenses for the company, for insurance or some other, like how to say, like material, I would say. So like something like something which you can calculate and like being accurate with, you have to be, because anyway it's a big company, so you have very strict rules and you have to follow them. And being, you know, like you are not able to say, oh, okay, 1 million here, 1 million there, so it's not working like this. Yeah, because
not that flexible,
not that
right?
flexible at all, because I've been previously working as a personal assistant to a CFO, like who is chief financial officer. So he was very, you know, like strict forward guy. So like not this flexibility with several millions, you know, like so. And yeah, so basically compensation and benefits was my first introduction into HR, which actually helped me to understand more, let's say, because for me from the beginning, to be honest, HR was about, you know, like talking, like chatting and these kind of things. And in this field you can see that it's actually it can be very specific and very, let's say, important to have the strict rules, even for example, for salary expectations. So we're as a, let's say, employees, back to that time, we, for example, thought, might have the expectation that, okay, so HRs, they taking these salaries from, I don't know, from the ceiling, if we could say so. I mean, like, so from their mind or something. But for the big companies, and they do have this specific system where, like, not system, I mean, like, so there are analytic researches, let's say, which helps us understand, like, what are the salary expectations for the specific, let's say, position in a specific field. So you can understand where your company is, for example, if it is let's say, like in like in the middle, let's say, like of this analysis, like of this report, or it's, for example, how to say, or it's like above the market or below the market. So you can also adjust your salary, your salary within a company, and then to be able to share it with potential candidates, so let's say, or with employees, that actually, so we do have some borders, because we cannot say again, like, okay, so plus minus million, you know, like for salary, because there still is a budget. You have to, as a company, understand, like, if you are actually able to pay this salary, like, after some time, to these employees or something like this. So it's a very, like, how to say, long topic to be discussed, and then some other, let's say, benefits which you can either, let's say, to pay for some providers or some companies which are, like, able to provide the services, or, for example, there might be some benefits or bonuses which can employees at this moment, employees, they are able to get as a how to say. For the company, it might not cost anything. So, but for employees, it might be a very nice bonus to be able to use this, let's say, service at the same time. So yes,
definitely, and I think these benefits are really important for people, right? It's a real sort of sweetener to
yes,
the deal.
It is. At the same time, not everyone actually using them. I would say it's more about, like, psychological approach sometimes to like what is happening, let's say, like in in our, as human being, like, mind sometimes. So but at the same time, of course, when you discuss the like offers with the candidates, so you can understand that some of some of the things which are, let's say, at the same time not salary, but something which extra you can give to the candidate or to the employee after that. So it's important for them, of course, to consider. From my side, honestly, I'm not sure that I always, like counting for the, like, some specific, like, say, benefits, because it's more about the role, it's more about the responsibilities and other stuff. But of course, at the end of the day, you still, slowly thinking, okay, if they do have insurance, if they're able to help me with, I don't know, even with English courses, I'm considering it from the employees, because I'm not, using this for a long time, so for these benefits. But for example, you can have some other possibilities to study any other languages, because we also had some experience with possibility from schools that provides also with options to study not English but some other languages, which might be interesting to employees. So yes, I would say that.
No, it's and I think these perks are super important for sure, and it really gets people interested and makes them know that lets them know that the company cares, and actually from your description as well, like you are a real jack of all trades by the sounds of things. Do you feel you have to have quite a wide or broad knowledge base just to basically know what you're doing in each particular section or field, I guess, of your job?
I would say for some fields it depends on my experience. So because I did a lot of things, let's say, like personally by my hands, let's say, so trying to understand what is happening in this field, how to what is the approach. And the second thing is the getting experience, let's say, from other people, so from the field. So being able to ask questions, being able to find people who are, let's say, within a field, and they are able, in a simple way to explain what are, at least for the first part, to see the key things or key features, let's say, so you can get for this task to pay attention to, and then to be able to implement this into your, let's say, experience, into your practice. Of course, I'm not how to say. Of course, we're able to Google everything, but I would say being able to find people from this field who are the professionals, and getting the best from them, from their experience. And usually people, they are ready to share this experience, or not at least maybe they can also communicate with somebody else. So it's also important to have the network, I would say. So it's interesting. At the same time, of course, you can always read books, or you can read some articles, or again, just using your experience, because usually we can find something very interesting from some other fields, but which you can implement here, and you can use it at the specific moment.
Yeah, and actually that definitely answers that question, where I think it is, just constant development, constant study, learning, just and basically touching on experience, but also just learning new ways to implement different ideas, which is a great for personal development too, I guess. And I guess in your job as well, you must face a lot of challenges. Working with people is always very challenging. It's rewarding and challenging at the same time, I guess. I know that from my own perspective as well.
That's true.
as a teacher. And maybe what are your top 3 challenges that you face, in no particular order, of course, when hiring employees?
Only hiring employees, yes.
Yeah, just for the recruitment.
So from the recruitment part, I would say the first and let's say the main thing, the challenge is actually to understand who is actually your candidate. To be able to communicate with business, and to be able to get from the business answers So this is the biggest challenge, because sometimes founders, owners, or let's say some like managers, so they're thinking, okay, I need this guy, like who is this guy, so like understand what exactly experience we need to look for, what are the specific, let's say, requirements to this role actually. So not being, you know, how to say, specific with gender, let's say, or not being, you know, like specific with age, which are for some roles might be important, not because it's like we want to discriminate someone, but actually, so like there are some, you know, like even like with the age differences, you can understand that people can be less or more flexible, so a different age, it's not for everyone, but again, so there are some situations where you can see it. It's not bad or good, it's just like it is what it is. And you can understand that, okay, so these are, let's say, for your profile, you can qualify them with a better perspective, or like with some people, you understand that they need to spend more time, let's say, for deep into something, and then of course it depends on candidates or like the future employees, if they're ready to jump into this. So like understanding the profile is the key thing, is the actually, so the majority, because sometimes they're okay, we need this specific I don't know, like requirements, but at the same time you can understand that, okay, this is actually a specific one, sometimes not always the key, let's say, the key. So there might be something else which you have to pay attention to. Second challenge is actually to kind of like source where to find these people, how to find them. So to understand where are these people are, like you can find them. Because depends on the role, that there can be absolutely different approaches, and for some roles it can be, let's say, one approach. For some roles this is not going to work, or you have to, you know, invest a lot into deep dive into, let's say, this source, and like spend a lot of time, and then it might work, but not always it's not always like it helps. So depends on how much time you're gonna spend for these sources. And I think the third challenge, it might be also if you find the right candidate, to be sure that he or she are going to accept the offer, let's say, at the end of the day. So like to challenge actually to get the position closed, because there might be some situations where you don't know how it can turn, let's say, at the end of the day. So there like it can be, let's say, stop list or something from the company perspective, or it can be some other offers from the candidate side, so which is also good, and sometimes I'm very happy for them, because it's like, okay, so they are able to get like more and be paid, let's say, like better, so which is okay, why not? They do have this right, actually, so
yes, and you're right, actually. Like you know, I've also, well, really small time sort of work in recruitment, actually, like for one of the English schools I used to work for, and yeah, I know that half your job is actually being like a salesperson, basically, like selling the job to like the best candidates as well. And yeah, it's you've got to have really good persuasion skills, I guess, to tell them this is the one for you. You're the one we want, and this is the company.
I had once experience when I was a candidate, and there was a manager. I still do remember. So he was like, "Okay, we need to schedule interview with you, and you have to accept it. So like we don't have time. I mean, like I have to sell it to you like by the end of this week." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." he did it actually, so it was.
So some success, yeah, exactly, and yeah, you know, it is so diverse, and you know, you've got to think from so many different perspectives as well when it comes to that. So yeah, it's actually super interesting to hear your approach to it, actually. Yeah, and all right, and actually, yeah. So I'm wondering, because you know, in your experience, what are some of the must-have requirements that candidates look for when they want to accept a job offer? What are candidates? What are they looking for? Benefits? Are they looking for salary? High salary, something like this.
I would say everything that you've mentioned, but again, so it's very depends on location, let's say. So and depends on the situation. So of the candidates, so you can see that some candidates are ready to accept whatever, let's say, salary you can offer them, or they are like requesting. So if it is within a salary range. For some, I would say like the common approach is that anyway. So to see if, for example, candidate wants to relocate. So if company provides with the relocation support for them or for their families, because it depends on the situation when company might provide this or might not provide it. So relocation expenses, then the benefits, let's say as part of the insurance or additional bonuses or some benefit programs or like whatever company are ready to provide them. Of course, competitive, let's say, salary, because if you understand that you do have a family, for example, and you are planning to relocate to Cyprus, and you do have, let's say, family, meaning like a spouse, let's say, or like one or two children. So your salary expectation is gonna be different because you have to be able to actually cover the expenses, not only like being responsible only for yourself, let's say, but also for the family, which is like with the Cyprus perspective, let's say, it's very challenging, I would say. As for Russian market, so again, so it's salary, I would say. So it's some benefits which you can get from the company, like insurance, voluntary insurance, or like how to call it? Okay, whatever. Like all types of insurance. Yes, I would say one of the topic which is common for both markets is being able to work hybrid, let's say, or remote. Even though companies, a lot of companies requesting now to work from the office. So it might be at some moment even challenging because it depends on the location of the candidate. So you can understand if you are ready, let's say, to relocate, or you are going to be able to work as remote, so fully remote, let's say, or like hybrid. So this is, I think after pandemics, this topic became very, let's say, important for everyone, to be honest. So yeah, I think this is the main thing which I wanted to share.
No, definitely, and like everything you mentioned, like especially like remote work, I think is a massive factor these days. Like people became so accustomed to working remotely because of the pandemic that people just don't want to go back in the office a lot of the time. So there has to be that good option of at least hybrid, right? I think
that's true. But at the same time, so I think it's the main thing which you have to understand within a company. Let's say what is the role, let's say, and if it is important for this role to be the office or not. And depends on the role, depends on the type of work, let's say. So I know a lot of companies which are, let's say, fully remotely. I know that a lot of companies which are trying to bring all employees to the office and, being very strict with this. So at the same time, you can find, even for my company now, so we do have the hybrid, let's say, approach. Not for everyone, again, depends on the roles. But majority, they do have this option, at least, like maybe not on a constant approach, but still, they do have the possibility to work, let's say, remotely at some time. So I think, like, for me, it should be flexible. So you cannot say that, okay, now you can, but then you have to be be sure that your employees are gonna be loyal to you. So they're gonna accept and then understand why they need to be in the office. So to see the key value of this, because otherwise, okay. So they do have the choice, to be honest. So and it's good when we do have a possibility to choose if we are okay with this approach or not. So, but it is what it is.
And and I think loyalty is such a difficult metric to gauge, right?
Yeah.
And
and it's more difficult
I guess,
to evaluate it, as well as understand actually so how you can change it, or how help employees to become loyal, let's say. So how to get this let's say these positive vibes from them. But there are still options which might help at least for the beginning. So I would say for loyalty, you get somehow, maybe not for 100%, but still somehow track measure your satisfaction of the employees within a company. So that's why companies, they are doing these employee satisfaction surveys. And I know I do remember from my previous experience when we did it for let's say 6,000 or 3,000 employees. So different, depends on the company. So when you can understand that, okay, so people can be afraid of saying and being honest, because they are thinking that they charge actually, so they are seeing how responded. At the end of the day, so we either using, let's say, anonymous, let's say, surveys, or some providers which do have the the report, and then provided dry numbers, or if you could say so. So some specific, let's say, comments with without any names or any a personal thing. So comments or feedbacks from the employees, and just analyze how this KPI, let's say, or how this report, let's say, what it shows us. So what are the, let's say, good things we've done, or which things we have to do in a better way, let's say.
Exactly, just basically constant evolution,
yes.
Right? As you go, and I think that's super important as well. You got to keep, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, basically. Yes, it's the main thing there. And and I'm wondering also about obviously employee well-being is super important within a company. So what do you think works best? In order for the employees to feel like they're getting the best, I guess, treatment as they're working.
Actually, when I was on the role of compensation and benefits, I was responsible for the project to be able to understand what is actually well-being, because back to that time, it was not that often, let's say, in a vocabulary of HRs or everyone. I think now it's became very super popular and super important, even for employees or for the companies, and it's very cool. I think it's very important, because for the big corporations, so you actually spend a lot of time working after working hours. So it's not mandatory, but you understand that you need to finish this task. So that's why you do have this not balancing life. And for well-being, what I'm very how to say, passion to, let's say, so to give possibility to people to choose what, and actually to explain what is this well-being, so to understand if they are actually understand how it is important. So from the super basic thing, which is actually sometimes we are thinking that it's not important, and actually to go on vacations. So to be able to relax and understand what is the relaxing to specifically you, and honestly relaxing, not just pretending to be relaxed at some moments. So being able to relax, as well as, let's say, so physical activities, so doing some sport activities. And that's why, for example, now within a company we do have the possibility, so guys, they are actually arranging by themselves to have a yoga classes, for example, or we do have a gym in our office, so they are able to use it as well. So as well as helping the financial, let's say, part of the well-being. It is not only salary or bonuses, which are somehow can influence on that field, but also, for example, what we did in my previous company. So using, let's say, the financial, making the like webinars about how to manage your let's say financial your budgets, let's say, or your budgets within a family, or like how some webinars for children, actually, how to use the so a lot of things actually you can do like within well-being. So there depends on the type of like priorities for the company. You can choose some of them, and like focus on them, and using them how to say, and using them within your company. So it's not always important to like to bring everything, because sometimes people can be overloaded with these extra activities, and it's not gonna bring you that like feedback, let's say, or like the positive vibe which you expected. So again, balance.
And I think you're right. Like I think like the last thing you want to do is overload people, but also give people a lot of options as well. And I think everything you've mentioned is super important to, first of all, it shows that the company cares about them, but also it does actually care, because these things do help people. They get them out, and prevent burnout and everything like this, which is really important these days. And like there is so much more focus now on employee well-being than there ever has been in the past.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a very, very interesting path to explore there. And look, I think we're pretty much out of time today, but look, I really want to thank you for coming on, and you've unloaded so much knowledge, not only on me, but I guess to all our listeners as well, not only about the diverse field of HR, and especially all the different fields you've covered as well for us today, but also you've given probably a lot of people some inspiration to try some extreme sports as well. And I'm not sure I'll ever get to the adrenaline junkie level that you're at with some of the sports, but if I can get 5% of that, I might be happy actually. And
it's just like trying.
But yeah, I just want to. Yeah, exactly. It's 5% is my goal, but and I just want to thank you again for joining us, and and speaking so well and so nicely about everything that you've spoken about.
Thank you very much for having me here today. Thank you for inviting. It's been a pleasure to share my experience with you and with people who are going to listen to this podcast. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And the pleasure is ours. I can assure you. And look, I also want to thank all our listeners for tuning in, and keep an ear out for some of our next episodes as well. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.